to do the sound test. I don't see anything here. Okay. Mhm. Okay, still says it's waiting for me. Working with two gadgets. Am I on? Yeah, sometimes we have a delay. Okay. How was the sound? Sound is good? All right. And I think we have too much headroom. We need to get the camera so it's lower. Assistant. Okay, there's too much headroom there. Can you zoom in so that it won't show so much? Okay, doesn't matter really. It's good now? Because here I have so much headroom. Okay, better. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this short notice live. We have a breaking report, and here's what I'm thinking. Before I break the latest report, exclusive, hasn't been broken by anyone. I want to take about 5 minutes or so. And for those of you who are not from my Patreon community and not familiar with the series that I have been publishing, one breaking news after another, since March 2nd. So that would be today basically is the 1 week since I have been breaking news back to back, mostly related to Iran and the war on Iran and Turkey. And so I want to spend about 5-6 minutes and give you an overview of the reports I exposed. The only person putting it out there based on multiple sources. Those of you who are familiar with me, I'm also the founder and director of National Security Whistleblowers Coalition. We have hundreds of members I work with. I know very well from various intelligence agencies, including military intelligence, defense intelligence agency, DIA, FBI, CIA, State Department, several. And in addition to that, I have amazing friends and sources in Turkey on the ground. Many of them are high-ranking military officers, many of them current in Turkey. I have 3-4 generals, honorable generals in Turkey, who have been very alarmed with what has been taking place in terms of what the current government, AKP government in Turkey, has been doing up until recently covertly. So my breaking report started on March 2nd, and I got information from Turkey, from Turkish military sources, one Turkish intelligence source, that despite what Turkish government has been claiming all along, that they don't want any war against Iran and that they are going to be playing the intermediary and that they are going to try to work the diplomatic channels. While they were saying this to public, and weeks before that, Turkish government, okay, despite dissent by the majority of the officers in the military, especially those who are more mature, older, they have been around, they have been working, Turkish government, AKP, President Erdogan has been working very closely with Trump and with Netanyahu's Israel very intimately, very closely in preparation for war on Iran covertly, okay? And also, for example, one leak that I received, and I confirmed all this with my sources in the United States. Currently, I have 2 military intelligence officers who are outside the United States. They have been deployed, they are out there, okay? and these were confirmed by American sources as well, that Turkey, the government in Turkey, Erdogan's government, they allowed actually several weeks ago, this is about 3.5, 4 weeks ago, they allowed Israel to install two additional intelligence satellites, okay, in Turkey, very close within the borders with Iran. That brought the number of Israeli operated, because they transmit directly to Israel, three intelligence satellites installed, operational for at least 2.5, 3 weeks in Turkey on Turkish soil for weeks. Okay, so that is one. Number two, Turkey, contrary to the claims that it has made, the government there, the government spokespeople, Turkey has been allowing the United States and Israel to use its airspace and the airbase, the Incirlik airbase in Turkey since the war, right before the war, currently as we speak right now, non-stop. But again, it's a matter of existential matter for the Turkish government. They know that 90+% of the people in Turkey would just go ballistic, that they would be basically removed from power by force, because it's very similar to the Gulf nation situations. Okay, and I'm going to get to that later once I have this backgrounder and then the breaking news. Then I'm going to discuss the Gulf nations. I have information on that as well. So it's just a matter of survival. We need to keep this covered. We need to keep this covered. So on March 2nd, when I published my report on Patreon, that's my website. That is my news organization currently. It is on Patreon /Sibel Edmonds, I think. Patreon.com/Sibel Edmonds. I published it, cited my sources, and interestingly, this is March 2nd. As part of this report, as I was preparing the report, I got information from my source, one source in Turkey, saying the U.S. ambassador in Turkey, Thomas Barak, is on his way to meet with the Turkish government head, Foreign Minister Fidan, and he's taking with him two Israeli officials, okay? And he's going to deliver a message from Trump, which is going to be supported by, I don't know who the two probably Israeli ambassador to Turkey. They went on March 3rd and they met with Foreign Minister Fidan. And they said that Trump said the era of covertly helping us is over, because they started going into that scrambling mode by March 3rd, and that he doesn't want to hear anything else, that from now on, Erdogan, Fidan, Turkish government, they are going to go all out overtly, whether people in Turkey like it or not, that Erdogan has to do that. Okay, people? This happened, the meeting, as I was putting out the report on March 3rd. Again, I reported this. And it's very interesting. It got about 500,000 to 1 million view on X. And we had 2 hours within the report. Turkish government, through two different agencies, Turkish government information agency and I believe Interior Minister, they issued a formal statement, right, in panic, in response to my report. And they cited it and they showed my report and they said, this is absolutely false. President Erdogan and Turkish government is neutral, and all they are doing is trying to stop the war. Lie, absolute bullshit, total lie. Okay, and I have the screenshots, and actually you can Google it. So they started scrambling and pointing finger and saying, "Oh yeah, she's lying. This is not happening. It's not true. We are neutral." As I said, this is self-preservation. Okay, but after my report, after their denial, starting on March 4th, we start seeing Turkey going covert, okay? And again, I have been reporting, I have at least 4 or 5 breaking reports since March 2nd on Patreon. is free and open to all members. Membership is free. You have to be a member just the way you're a member of Facebook, YouTube, or X. Just put your email and become no money asked, okay? People who are supporting my Patreon news site, they are doing it voluntarily, and we are thankful to them. So it's free. You can go, become a member of my site, no money, no dinero, no nothing, right? And look at all the reports. They are all dated, and each report has at least, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 links, okay? In addition to multiple sources confirming. So, one of the first thing Turkey did after they got the order from Trump and the Israeli ambassador that no, now you're going to go covert because they are the masters of the Turkish government, all right? They are the masters. They have been the masters. And again, I'm going to explain how they have become such masters to the current government in Turkey, okay? So the first thing that happened overtly, some of these missiles that Iran sent to the Gulf nations, right, in defense of this war, okay, against it, ended up, Turkey came out and they said, and this is through Foreign Minister Fidan, okay, he is the mouthpiece of Erdogan, and Erdogan and Fidan are directly working for Netanyahu and for Trump. And there is no ifs and buts about it. This is confirmed, and you're going to see it as I start walking you towards that. Fidan announced on behalf of the Turkish government that Turkey will not tolerate Iran hitting and attacking its Muslim brother Muslim nations in the Gulf. Okay? Iran, remember, is engaged in self-defense, and Iran has been targeting the U.S. bases, U.S. satellites, radars, U.S. Hotels that house U.S. Intelligence operatives, military, etc. In fact, Iran has so far refrained from targeting, directly hitting anything like civilians or other kinds of non-U.S. cooperating Gulf facilities or people, okay? And that's already established. It's not my say. So far, that has been the track record for Iran. So here it is, Turkish government starting massaging the court of public opinion in Turkey, right? And of course, also because President Erdogan for the past few years, decade, has declared himself as the Khalifa of the Muslim world. And we have 2+ billion Muslim in the world, okay? And President Erdogan has declared himself the Khalifa, okay? The leader of the Muslim world. And again, for the past, especially since 2016, President Erdogan has engaged in a lot of barking publicly, okay? In words only, right? Against Israel's genocidal operations in Gaza, against Israel's genocidal operations against Lebanon, against Israel's genocidal operations basically in that part of the Muslim world, talking tough, calling Israelis fascist. Meanwhile, in 2022, again, I exposed it before me. Other good journalists exposed this part, so I was not the first on that one, because since 2022, and with all the massacre Israel has engaged in Gaza, the Khalifa of the so-called Khalifa of the Muslim world, Erdogan, said publicly to the world that Turkey has placed a ban on trade with Israel. We're not going to import from Israel. We're not going to export to Israel. We have a ban. Turkey will never engage in commerce, in trade with Israel. Well, documents leaked. People blew the whistle. And it's already established. Again, you can go and see the links, not only my word, and see that since 2022 until now, even more so now, covertly, Turkey has been Israel's second biggest commerce partner in trade. Guess what? Who's the number one? Azerbaijan. Okay, is that Azerbaijan? Let's call it Turkey too. Okay. In fact, Azerbaijan has been an Israeli colony since the fall of the Soviet Union after Susurluk incident. I would say easily since 1998, after Susurluk incident, Israel took over Azerbaijan. It has been. And as you know, Azerbaijan sits across from Iran on Caspian Sea. Caspian Sea, which is a lake, is shared by two nations, okay? All right. So that was the first move by Turkey. Again, I broke the report. You can go and see it right 24 hours or less after my report. Then Turkey panicking. This is Turkish government, not Turkish people, and because they see the court of public opinion, Turkish people in Turkey, they are on the side of Iran. They don't want this. They hate Israel. Okay, that's the stand of. If I were to put a number, 99% of people in Turkey. Okay, and you can don't take my word, go and check it. In order to create a pretext, right, to win the hearts and minds of the population, public in Turkey, this is President Erdogan serving Israel, going along with President Trump's order with Israel, they concocted a false flag. We are all familiar with false flags, aren't we? False flag happens to be the regular modus of operation, you know, when it comes to Israel, and especially Israel and these nations, okay? And Israel does that all over the world. So they concocted this missile story that Iran has targeted, right, Turkey, and that first because I kept everything, and you all can go and check it, okay? It's minute by minute live coverage via Patreon, and this would be 3-4 days ago. So I exposed that immediately, that there's the false flag is coming, okay? So, and I also captured the initial report by Turkish government. This is how Turkish government reported it first, right? Turkish government, through their media, and the media is their mouthpiece, they came out and they said, Turkish military, being very almighty, detected, intercepted, and destroyed Iranian missile sent targeting Turkish soil, right? And that they shut it down, and then they went and they collected the debris, okay? This is what they put out. I screenshot it, I captured it, official first report from the Turkish government. Then, as reporters went to US sources, right? US military sources, this is within 3 hours. Again, I reported it first. You can go ahead and see it, right? On patreon.com, Sibel Edmonds. US Navy general said no. US Navy was on the water, right? Along Iran, right? Near Strait of Hormuz. They detected a missile. They were not sure where it was headed. This is Iranian missile. And they hit that missile, okay? Not the NATO troop, not definitely Turkish military. It was US naval vessel detecting it, intercepting it, not knowing where exactly it was headed. It could have gone through towards some of the US bases somewhere. We don't know. They don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody at least saying where it was targeting that Iranian missile. They shut it down, and then they said the debris went into the ocean, to the Persian Gulf, right? The water there. Okay? I have it side by side. I'm reporting real time, all right, through Patreon. Turkish people lied. I mean, Turkish government lied to the Turkish people and the world, and within 2 hours, we debunked it. And before that, I said false flag is coming. Turkish government is working with Israel, okay? We should be very glad that this didn't end up being a false flag by Israelis and the Turkish government, bringing about some Turkish people casualties, okay? And then, 4.5 hours later, Turkey, having egg on its face, the lie coming out, they actually went to NATO, okay? This is Turkish President Erdogan, and they said, we don't want the Turkish people and the world, you know, seeing us as liars. Please, you need to help us save face and say it was NATO's troops in Turkey, that NATO forces intercepted over Turkey, right? About to hit Turkey, and destroyed this missile, right? And then this is very important, people. Erdogan, Netanyahu asked NATO to invoke the Article 5 within few hours of all the lies and the false flag and egg on their face, and the US military people actually contradicting the lying Turkish government, right? As this is happening, Netanyahu and Erdogan going and engaging in this campaign lobbying, saying, look, regardless, there was a missile, right? We said that it was targeting Turkey. Turkey is a NATO member, and we want you to invoke the Article 5. Why? Because Netanyahu and Trump and Erdogan, right? They are a trio in this. They want to drag and they want to get NATO's commitment, right? For troops, for further ammunitions, missiles, etc. Well, looking at the evidence, knowing who President Erdogan is, okay, it was going to be too much of a shit for NATO to swallow. So NATO declined. They said no. And they actually announced it. They said after looking at the situation, and they haven't found any evidence that Iran was actually targeting NATO base, Turkish soil. Therefore, NATO is going to refrain from invoking the Article 5, right? Bam, bam, slam. It's a bam, bam, slam, people. Can you give me some slamming bam, bam sign here? So I know that as my listeners, you're listening, I know I have so many people here from my Patreon community whom I love, and their presence here is giving me the confidence I need, because this is not my usual venue. I don't usually use YouTube, and I want to see some emojis. Give me firework. We are exposing liars, people. We are exposing the liars, the false flag people. We are exposing warmongering people. We are exposing genocidal people. So please send me emojis. I need to get fired up. Yes, fire. Thank you, Nevin. Greatly appreciated. Yes, thank you. Love you all, people. So I'm walking you step by step to bring it to the current time right now, and I'm gonna break the news. It's not because, oh my goodness, I want to build up the tension, because I have been watching practically 15 hours a day, listening to all these analysts and talking, heads and the bloggers, and talking about Iran and all the stuff. Nobody has talked about any of this. Please, I invite people, listen, I invite everyone to, you guys are much more, you guys and ladies are much more tech savvy than I am. I'm not tech savvy. Please Google. Other than me, none of these so-called experts, analysts have covered any of this Turkish stuff. And that itself is very questionable, because that's the most sensitive spot. This is why I have been getting threats after threats since March 3rd. I have been getting death threats. Uh, Elon Musk has been listening to his partner in Turkey, Erdogan, and a lot of crap has been coming my way, right? And that's in addition of the bots that are being sent by Turkish government to declare me the anti-Turkish traitor, treasonous, liar, whore. There are so many words that I don't want to use here during live, even though I didn't say this is a children friendly publication. Anyhow, so that didn't work. False flag, Netanyahu and President Erdogan, right? And of course we know Trump. That didn't work. Right away they went like this. Okay, what we're gonna do? Let's do another false flag. This time Azerbaijan. Again, involve parties to execute the false flag: Azerbaijani government, Turkish government, okay, specifically Turkish government, Israel. Okay, in this particular one, for this particular one, I don't have any confirmation if US CIA was exactly involved or not. I don't know. But I know these are the three parties who made up the next false flag number 2. This time, missile basically coming to hit or getting intercepted, some convoluted bullshit, complete lie story, right? Azerbaijan, as I said, is Israeli colony, as is Turkey, unfortunately, and we're gonna cover more of that. So I again published that, right? So this happens, and Israel comes and says, Israel being um, Azerbaijan being Israel's mouthpiece, right? Aliyev is the president. Before him, his father, this is right before Susurluk, was the president. Those of you who have been following me and my Operation Gladio B expose, you're familiar with Susurluk and what I exposed back in 2005, 2006 in the United States globally on Operation Gladio B, because Operation Gladio B is what's coming next with the breaking news, people. So, and it involves Iraq and it involves Turkey, okay? Um, Again, this was immediately exposed because so far, Iranian government, I'm not being Iranian government's mouthpiece. This is a track record. Again, go check it. Iranian government, they always claim responsibility. They are saying, oh yeah, we hit such and such bases or such and such air base or radar in Kuwait or in Qatar or somewhere else in UAE. They haven't been denying any of those stuff. If they hit a vessel that was military U.S. war mongering vessel, they say, yeah, that was us. Immediately, right? Not immediately. It took them about a day and a half, 2 days, because Turkey is a very sensitive issue for all involved. It's sensitive not only for the CIA, Israel, and Turkish government, Israeli stooges, but it's also for Iran because Turkey is also Iran's trading partner and Turkey is a NATO member, unlike the Gulf states, right? And Turkey also houses the US air base. So Iranians right away knowing that this is bullshit, this is false flag, it took them 34 hours to come out, and I captured it and I published it. In fact, on YouTube you can find it. Uh, Government insiders, people familiar with what's going on inside Iran, in Iran, they said it was a false flag and Turkey serving Israel. We have known this, right? But with Azerbaijan, false flag scenario 2, which again ended up being egg on President Erdogan's and his party's face, Iranian government immediately came out and said that was not us. This is a false flag. This is actually, even if you were to look, because there are some footage, this is actually the missile. It was Israel, right? And Turkey is partnered with it, right? So it was concocted by Turkey, Israel, and Azerbaijan, all partnered in it. That Azerbaijan missile story, completely false flag. As you can see, our media, even the US, is not saying much, even though Trump would love to use it. But because it is executed in such panic and is so sloppy that everybody is staying away from it. But Israel's mouthpiece, Aliyev, came out and said, we consider this a declaration of war by Iran, and Azerbaijan now is officially and formally at war against Iran. And then right behind him, Fidan, Israeli pseudonym Fidan, and he is an Israeli pseudonym, and President Erdogan, they had their fists up, but not as on the front as Aliyev, right? They're like, yeah, Azerbaijan is our partner. Azerbaijanis, they are Turkic people. We consider this a serious violation and we condemn Iran for it. What I'm trying to say here, people, between March 2nd, since I broke the story, when everybody's story was Turkey is neutral, Turkish government, Turkey is trying to mediate, all bullshit, all lie. Turkey for weeks has been helping the government, helping directly, covertly Israel and Trump. Only after March 2nd, which I exposed, as I said, it was not only pedophile, he's been exposed, pedophile U.S. Ambassador Tom Barak from Epstein, right? By the way, he's one of the very few people who has not resigned. You know why? Because he's the U.S. Ambassador to Turkey. There is no spine left. Because Turkish government, you would think after all the emails and pictures and everything coming out on the U.S. ambassador to Turkey, Tom Barak, right, with Epstein, part of Epstein network, Epstein's buddies since 1989, because according to himself, they were clubbing way back when in 1989, 1990, Tom Barak and Epstein, right, a pedophile, he didn't resign, and the Turkish government being squeezed there, the pair that maybe they don't even have by Israel and the US, they took it, right? Why would Tom Barak resign when the Turkish government says, you are here, we'll protect you, and we want you, and we'll keep you, right? We're going to come back to that, people. Don't go anywhere. We're going to come back to that. Okay, then what happened? So again, I'm doing it real time, and most of these reports I'm issuing, they are before before it's even out, saying this is coming. These are the people who are involved. Azerbaijan, false flag. Turkey, false flag. The fact that U.S. air base and other air bases in Turkey is not being used in war against Iran, absolute lie. Okay? All right. So we established so far this. So they came, this is the Turkish government, and they officially and formally, they accused me of completely lying and that they are completely neutral. At the same time, within 24 hours after my first report, they started confirming it with their own action, one after another one. Here is another one, right? Israel, everybody knows, including the US, they are running out of missiles, right? They are running out of bombs. They are short on that. We have had so many wars, right? We've been pumping all those weapons into Ukraine. So guess what? Which company is the first in the world to go into overproduction and supplying the genocidal Israel, the ones who, together with the US, bomb schools and hospitals and innocent children, right? The pedophile Satan 1, Satan 2, the United States of America's government, Trump, and his entire government, right? And Israel, right? They're running out of missiles. They're running out of bombs. They need more bombs. A lot of countries, they can't stomach it. They have some bomb reserves. They are not doing it. Guess what? Only one company, Turkish company, a private Turkish company that is also under the Turkish government's under Turkish government's umbrella, is called Repkon. Go check it, right? Repkon. They say we are cyanims. We are cyanims. We and the current Turkish government, we will do anything for Israel. In fact, we support Israel's genocide against Palestinians. You know why? We became Israel's top partner. Top partner. 2022 till right now, currently, even right now, who is supplying Israel with all the food and this and munition and everything? Turkey. It's Turkish government, Turkey, right? That is direct support of genocide against Muslims. That's what Turkish government has been engaged in. Another thing that came out, Turkey is pumping gas and oil, exporting it because they get it, and then Turkey forwards it to Israel. During these 8 years, the only place Israel has been getting its fuel, again, people, Zionim Turkish government. Can we say it? Zionim Turkish government. Now put the words together. Erdogan's words, put it together with these are the actions. These are the people who came out and called me a liar and said, we are not at all helping Israel and Turkey. Well, where is the apology? I haven't seen them retract what they published. Okay, then we are getting close to the breaking report. The latest one before this breaking report was 24 hours ago. I got the word from Turkey, from good generals in Turkey, 2 lieutenant colonel in Turkey, that there is a rift within Turkish military. They can't stomach Sayanim, Israeli butler president, right? And the foreign minister Fidan, who was recruited by Israel in 1997 while he was working with NATO and he was in Germany. I'm not going to delve deep. That's for later, because I am going to expose, I'm going to expose these hypocrites who have been supporting, with Turkish people's sweat and blood and money, they have been supporting Israelis' genocidal operations against Palestinians. You may ask, I know, you may ask, you're going to say, but don't you hear Israel talking tough against Turkish President Erdogan and Turkey? People, just like with the Gulf states, of course, because Israel wants to help preserve. That's, if Israel were to come out, right, and say, Turkey is our great ally, we love Erdogan, Erdogan sucks our, you know what, every single day. on his knees. And that's the truth. They're going to call it insult on Turkish president. I'm already banned again from going back to Turkey, but that's okay. Facts are facts. Truth is truth. And AKP and President Erdogan, they're going to be gone. We know that. They're going to be gone. No, I'm not talking about 3 years, 2 years from now. It's not going to even wait for elections. They're going to be gone. They are exposed. This is what happens when you serve genocidal Israels and go along with Trump's direct orders to you. And that happened when President Erdogan came to the United States in September 2025, and they had one special long meeting with Trump. Do you think they were alone? We had Israeli officials, we had translator. There were 9 people in that room for that private meeting between Trump and Erdogan, excluding the translators, one for each side. So I don't wanna spend time on that right now. Let's not do that now. I'm gonna air out their laundry because this is the first time ever any government coming and actually, instead of confirming, because I put out the truth, I have a reputation to maintain. I've been around for 25, 26 years, right? My reputation is what it is. You can go and check. If I put out something, I predicted the coup, the so-called attempted coup in Turkey 6 months before it took place. That video now is watched millions of times. But what I'm trying to say is they come and put out denial in writing. They are very desperate. They are liars. I can't stand liars, and I do not in any way support, have mercy on countries, governments, people, operatives who are engaged in genocidal operations against humanity. I don't care if they're black. I don't care if they're Muslims. I don't care about if they are Shias or they are Sunnis or they are Hindus. I don't care. Anybody who goes and bombs schools and hospitals and like bullies engage in these types of genocidal wars, I will take on. I don't care. Well, Turkish government, AKP, President Erdogan, his cabinet, the AKP party, they have been Israeli stooges and tools, and they have been participating directly in these genocidal operations. They have blood in their hands. This is the holy month of Ramadan. And do you know, I mean, that itself is so significant that they would launch in the past, even during insane, loony Bush administration, they were kind of worried about doing anything during the month of Ramadan. And Israel wanted this to be during the month of Ramadan, right? And these people, President Erdogan and Fidan and the AKPs with their curly beard filled with fleas, right? Doing their fake fasting and pretending to be Muslims. They are fake Muslims. That is so much worse than any other infidel in this world. They are kafirs. They are mega kafirs. Because on top of it, they are lying and they are doing it in Ramadan. And they are assisting genocidal, murderous practices against the innocent children in Iran. They are mega kafirs, okay? They are mega kafirs. I'm not going to take it back. I'm going to own this. I'm owning what I'm saying here, okay? And I'm not saying this about Turkish people in Turkey, because just like us in the US, those of us who happen to be the majority who oppose this war, people in Turkey, they don't want this. But there's no media left in Turkey. There's no journalism, because he, right, with his government, has rounded up all decent journalists and he has shoved them inside jails. You don't believe me? Go and look at all the reports out there. I don't have to look at formal, official reports. How many thousands of Turkish authors and journalists are currently sitting in jail, rounded up by this administration, the Kafir administration, the Kafir Zionism administration, and placed in jails, right? Yeah. So I got the news that there is a rift. By the way, there is a rift between the high-level military officials currently in the United States as well, because Turkish military members, most of them, especially these officers, especially the ones who've been around for a long time, they want the best outcome. They have Turkey's best interest in mind, right? With their actions, with their plannings, with their decision making. They first put Turkey and both as a country, but most importantly, the Turkish people's best interest. So they always say, what is in the best interest of Turkish people? And in every way they looked, knowing the war strategy, being able to, and it's not difficult, to calculate the possible outcomes of this genocidal practice by Trump, right? And genocidal Zionist Jewish Israel, right? Against the world, it's against humanity, it's against the world, right? The generals, many of them in Turkey, they're good generals. My hat's off to you. I salute you, Turkey generals. They actually have been standing up and telling um, Zionism president and foreign minister, no. Unfortunately, MIT has been to a large degree co-opted Turkish intelligence services because under the guise of we are fighting Gulen, they have taken out a lot of people and they have put Israeli Zionists there. The softwares operating Turkish intelligence and many other facilities, including subsensitive military facilities, the softwares are made by Israel. Again, don't take my words for it. These issues have been leaked by the good military members in Turkey. How can you have any safety, national security, anonymity, sovereignty when your government suffers, right? All bugged, of course. Duh! Anyone who would say, oh, maybe Israeli didn't bug these softwares, please. Please, people, please. So I reported that. That was my latest report. Rift among generals. They are blowing the whistle. I was contacted by two generals. One of them I knew. The other one was introduced by the general I knew, and they said, the whole thing is, the moment we say it publicly in Turkey, right, make it known publicly, they are going to say, oh, you're a Gulenist, they're going to put us in jail. Okay, and I don't blame them because that's exactly what Turkey government has been doing. So you would think, why wouldn't they go to some bigger outlets and they would come to Little Me? I don't have a news organization. I have my Patreon website and I'm running my own solo journalistic work there, right? Because they know that I also know people here, right? And they know that I would not betray them. Meaning, right now, if the orange man comes and breaks my door, hopefully it would be here and they won't right away disconnect this live streaming, right? To take me in for questioning and saying it's a US right now is at war with Iran, which is not correct. They haven't declared this war. They didn't go to Congress to get authorization. So that's fucking lie. But guess what? They have judges in their pockets. So even though it shouldn't stick legally, during wartime, undeclared, illegal war, not really authorized by the US Congress, right? You are saying something that is going to help Iran, right? We want to know the names of those Turkish generals and lieutenant colonels and the Turkish people in other agencies and your US military sources, two of them who were just recently deployed. I will never, ever, 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 ever disclose the names of my sources. I haven't. And that much they know because they know who I am and I won't. Okay? So I put it out there. I published it. Again, not a big surprise, but I'm telling you, they said as well. Turkish people, this is mostly also for them. They are going to take out this government because A, they are not really democratically elected. B, it's a treason. It's a treason. They are extension of Israel. You know Israel's plan, the Greater Israel plan, it won't happen without those parasites that they installed and they control via blackmail, via threat. Israel, the Kuwait and Qatar and Saudi Arabia and all the UAE countries and Turkey and Azerbaijan, right? Yeah. They all know that Israel's plan is the Greater Israel. And with that, bye-bye, 2/3 of Turkey. So that's a treason. That's a treason against an innocent country, against another Muslim country. I know some people are going to say, well, Iranians are Shias, so that's why Erdogan doesn't care. Hello, hello. Turkey directly supported Israel and the US against Iraq. Turkey totally backed Iraq. Saddam Hussein was Sunni, by the way. Okay. And Turkey directly backed and supported U.S. Assault on Libya and killing Gaddafi. Gaddafi was Sunni, people. So no, don't give me that hogwashing, well, because Iranians are Shias and Turkey is Sunnis. No, it has nothing to do with that. How about the Palestinians? They have been massacring Israel. Turkey has been supplying Israel everything: weapons, oil, all sorts of mechanical components, food, right? As I said, Israel's second biggest partner in trade. That is participation in genocide. Those are not going to the Palestinians. Those are going to the people, the genetically mutated Zionist, genocidal Zionist people killing, murdering little babies and innocent people in Palestine for the past 5 decades. That's what Turkey is supporting with its trade with Israel. Let's just put it out there. It is what it is. So if that constitutes an insult because it's the truth, well, maybe that person should not be a president, that other person should not be the foreign minister, and that party should be burned. And because that's what you do, don't you? Don't you do that to people who commit real treason against a country, a country's interest, against its own people, against his own religion? That's exactly what they've been doing. I haven't been disconnected yet? Okay. All right. So what is the latest, people? The latest. I'm going to have a sip of water here. All right. I was told this morning, 5 o'clock, I was woken up. Information. You know how they have been putting out, and U.S. media obliging, and these analysts who don't know shit, right? Most of them. They can't even open the map. They wouldn't even know where to look to find Khuzestan or where to find Erbil or Kirkuk. And I know you're going to say, my God, you're being so arrogant. It's not a matter of arrogance, okay? It's a matter of having backgrounds. It takes a lot of components for people to really understand the geography, the geopolitical positioning, the culture, the religion, the language, right? I am quarter Iranian. I lived in Iran for 7 years. I am certified linguist in Farsi language, right? I have lived in Tehran. I have lived in Tabriz. I have lived in Esfahan, and these would be between 1976, 77 till about 1981, 82. It would be early 1982, okay? I have lived in Sunni Turkey. I'm 3/4 Turkish and Azerbaijani, right? And Turkish is my first language. It's my mother tongue, right? And I know everything there is on Sunni religion and the Turkish language and Turkish cultures. The same with Iran, all right? They're all in me. And Azerbaijan is my another quarter there. I lived in Baku for 1.5 years. Okay, so let's put that there. I speak Azerbaijani. Now, I studied political science, international relations. My father was politically active. I grew up within politics. So internal domestic politics and their international relations, not only I lived through those stuff, that was my main focus, including the early years, okay? So that's that. And then later in universities, during the master's degrees, etc., that always was my focus. Then post FBI whistleblowing, it was just being that geopolitical analyst for those particular regions. Sure, I too, like those ignorant people who are out there and putting out video after video on Iran and everything, they don't know shit about, they don't know the language. I'm able to sit down and read all the Iranian publications in their original language. But it takes that. Without that, you have to rely on some auto translations or other people, third parties, middle parties. So what I'm trying to say is, I can't say the same thing. I can't talk about Venezuela. I have never talked about Venezuela here. I'm not fluent in the Spanish. I haven't been to anywhere into Venezuela. I haven't been anywhere in South America, right? I haven't studied their history. No, it's not my area. So if I were to sit down here and turn up a video and tell you a lot of stuff on Maduro and everything, except cocaine and Turkey links, which I will cover in my coming reports via Patreon, that's a different story. So everybody, you would have the right to say, what the fuck? I mean, where is it coming from? Why should people really take it and say this is what's going on? Because that's how we should calculate. That's how I'm calculating. So far, I have seen Larry Johnson putting really good analysis out there, right? Especially pertaining to the Gulf countries like GCC. Larry Johnson, and he's a member of my organization, National Security Whistleblowers Coalition. I've known Larry for 22 years, since 2004, since I established. Larry Johnson is putting solid in. He knows what he's talking about, right? Colonel Wilkerson, 2 thumbs up. I have been tuning in, I've been listening, and from the military aspects of it as well, he is providing really good, solid information, especially when it comes to estimating, analyzing US and Israel's condition in terms of where they are with their capability, in terms of how much stockpile they have left, how long they can calculate. Hats off. Colonel Wilkerson was the only other person with me exposing Operation Gladio B involving targeting Xinjiang, China. More on that some other time as well. So yeah, there are some good people who are providing, but there's no one. There has been not a single human being, please send me, with real expertise, biographical experience, language, who has put anything worth shit on Turkey. And look at the map, people. Look at the map. I mean, it can't get more important than Turkey. Are you ready for the breaking news? Now that I provided you some context, some history, some track records, right? Examples. Okay. So I got the news this morning, 4:45 a.m. You know how the bullshit fake media and the fake alternative media and the fake alternative, whatever they call themselves, talking heads, they've been saying, oh, CIA is working, US is working with the Kurds, they want to use the Kurds to... First of all, that ain't news. CIA and Mossad, they have been doing that for several years. Mossad, Israel, took northern Iraq, that Kirkuk area, right? Again, just like Azerbaijan, northern Iraq is Israel's military and intelligence base. They trained and armed the Kurds in northern Iraq, and those Kurds, they say we are first Israeli. No, I mean it. This is no exaggeration. Then Kurds, okay? You won't find, as far as alliance and doing the dirty, shitty work of Israel, especially against Iran, intelligence gathering, than the northern Iraqi Kurds, right? I have to go. I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about all the commandos who are armed and trained by Mossad, and they have their radars there. Anybody like Iran, if I were Iran, and if I wanted to target a very sensitive target, I would target Kirkuk. I would target northern Iraq, because northern Iraq, Turkey has 3 satellite intelligence Israeli operational on their soil. Northern Iraq is nothing but intelligence and the military satellite for Israel. That would be the most kosher place to target, okay? It's that bad, okay? It's that bad. This has been going on since we invaded Iraq. We gave northern Iraq, we balkanized Iraq, right? South is Shia, middle is Sunni, and then you have north, which is Kurdish, and there are so many Kurdish people. There are millions of Kurdish people. Many Kurdish people are the greatest people in the world. Kurdish people living in Turkey, they are my brothers and sisters. They have nothing to do with this shit. I am talking about the commando, the fighters, all the stuff they put there, PKK and JPK and all the fuck shits there, the Israeli ass-kicking genocidal assholes who should be wiped out of this planet, right? Disgraceful people. They've been doing it in northern Iraq for decades. So when did we invade Iraq, right? Okay. But not only that, logically, Israel, with its base, the military intelligence base in northern Iraq, they have been trying to co-opt and recruit Iranian Kurds for years without success. I would say if you take I'm talking about militant Kurds, not the great good Kurdish people in Turkey, right? Nobody should, oh, Kurdish people are that. I'm talking about these factions, right? The Israeli loving, ass kissing ones, most of them in Syria, after Iraq. Northern Iraq has the most Israeli ones. Then is Syria and the PKK and the Kurds in a certain Kurdish faction in that border region of Syria, Iraq with Turkey. Okay. Iranian Kurds, they are different breeds, people. I know that. You know how I know? I know firsthand because right now my Iranian audience, they know exactly what I'm talking about. And there's a track record, they can go and pull my father's record. In 1981, my father was stationed for 2 weeks in Sanandaj, okay? Again, I'm not going to explain it to other people, but if my Iranian audience would know that. We went to Sanandaj because my father was a surgeon. He was a doctor. He passed away in 2000. But because there was a conflict between the certain Kurdish faction in that Iraq and Iran. This is 1981. I'm 11 years old, people. I'm in Iran. I'm in Sanandaj, right? I mean, these people, like, they were riding horse, because these are mountainous regions, mountains and caves, and nobody can take on the Kurds in their turf, which is there. I mean, they are the experts of the mountain warfare. You know, they have jungle warfare. When it comes to the asymmetric uh, mountain warfare, nobody in the world can match them, right? I mean, they know these mountains and caves and tunnels like nothing else. They ride horses and they can go places that no tank can go. So anyhow, I am very familiar with all this stuff. Those situations went under control, okay? And throughout the years, we have had some small scale issues with some of the small, minute Kurdish factions in that region and the Iranian government, right? Nothing major like Turkey and the Kurds, PKK. It's nothing like that. And 90% has been peace, and they are more patriotic. They are not like the Kurdish factions, those factions, not the Kurdish people in Turkey and elsewhere, right? No, CIA, Israel, and the mother effers in northern Iraq, those Kurds, they couldn't co-opt it. They have said no, they're not going along, right? So what happened is when I was contacted this morning early, I was told that whole thing that they put out, it was CIA and Mossad. It's a decoy information. I don't know if you're familiar with you know about regular decoys, right? You're sending missiles, but in order to deplete, right, your target nations, governments, militaries, resources, you have real missiles, and then you have things that look like they are decoys, right? So that they go and they try to hit them, and they are wasting all their ammunition, the anti-missiles, etc. It's the same thing. We have that within the intelligence world. It's called decoy information, meaning you want to shift the attention, and especially for Iranians, that's part of the warfare strategy, right? And this is an illegal war. It's not a real war. It's a genocide, right? So they're like, oh yeah, we gotta have the Kurdish, Iranian Kurds to do. They don't have shit. That's bullshit. They have tried that. Israel has been trying nonstop to get. They've been trying in southern Iran with Baluchistan and Sistan, in the border of Afghanistan, Pakistan with Iran, where you have Baluchis, and they are their own, people, ethnic minority in Iran. They have been trying via Azerbaijan, Israeli ass-kissers, right, the Israeli base, try to co-opt the people in Tabriz. And my father's father was from Baku, who moved to Tabriz, Iran. And as I said, I have lived in Tabriz. And they are Turkic people living in northern Iran, right, in Tabriz and the surrounding area. That hasn't been successful, okay? They've been trying for years to co-opt the ethnic minorities. So my source told me it's a decoy, and it's very important for you to put this out there. That's why I announced. That's why I'm doing it today here, because I am told by people who are very, very much higher level, much more important than me. I'm not important. My importance is like nothing, okay? That's why we are doing this today. It's a decoy. What they are doing instead is Plan C, and that is concocted recently in the last 2 days by Trump administration and agreed upon, unfortunately, by his CIA people to use the Syria model. They always had that as Plan C. I want you to listen very carefully. This is breaking report. Nobody has reported on this. My Patreon community members, okay, I'm gonna have you to fire up, if you're here, which I know you're here, my coverage about 5-6 weeks ago, breaking the report saying there is this Sharia government in Syria, the terrorist Al-Qaeda Sharia, right? With the Kurds in northern Syria. And they have these incidents they are talking about reporting, and this would be January 2025, people, 2 months ago. And that there has been thousands of ISIS, but highest level ISIS first, somehow escaping, being released from these prisons, being transferred. And I started a report on this saying this is extremely important because per my sources, not only that these ISIS, thousands of them, some of the most important ones, actually, it was not because Sharia's government bombed the prison and these ISIS people escaped. US military, including my source, right? Including my source stationed in Syria. He said, we actually went to the prison, we filled up, right? Several convoys worth of the top level ISIS commandos. In these commandos are the top trained by CIA, by Turkish military. Most of them are Turkish ISIS, right? Who have been in these Syrian jails. This is our troops, people, our military went there, several convoys, that this was the first stage. They took them out of Syria's prisons, and this is because Syria government is Al-Qaeda ISIS, with their knowledge, and they took them all the way to Iraq and put them in this prison temporarily that is right in the northern area of Baghdad, okay? I forgot the name of the prison. I think it's called Prison Khalq, possibly, Khalg. And then they removed all non-ISIS previous prisoners from that prison. And that prison, Khalq, is right next to the US military base that they said they totally evacuated. They did, but the CIA set up a station there, okay, including militant CIA, northern portion of Baghdad, which is right where this prison is. And this continued, this operation, for days. They transferred over 6,000 ISIS people, prisoners, from Syria into Iraq. This prison that they mentioned, official story by the Iraqi government, this prison can't house 6,000 people. Fucking lie! Okay? Then they said, oh, there is another prison in the Shia region, and then they took some of those there. I have the number. I got the number from US CIA personnel currently there in Iraq. 117 ISIS were transferred to the prison in southern Iraq, which would be in the Shia region. The rest, the other 6,000, they were put through, especially into the retraining, regrouping, starting around February 12th, February 13th, on the so-called emptied out, evacuated US military base in Iraq, north of Baghdad, armed, and they did all this stuff. Like, here are these, like, they have levels, right? This is, ISIS was created by the CIA. If anybody doesn't know that, just go fuck yourself, okay? Because I'm gonna say, where the hell have you been? But they have ranking exactly like the US military given to them by the CIA, Operation Gladio B. They have generals, they have lieutenant generals, they have colonels, they have lieutenant colonels, right? Majors. They have formed the ISIS, the so-called Al-Qaeda, ISIS terrorists. These are the people that the CIA, with Mossad also participating, they have been doing it for decades, collecting training to use them in their Operation Gladio B, which I'm the only person who have exposed this, right, since 2005. My record is out there against Russia, right, in Chechnya, later against Assad, and also in Afghanistan and in Xinjiang region, together with those ethnic minority militant group. Okay, that's what they have been doing. And that's what they have been keeping as Plan C. Now, okay, I broke this report and I still haven't seen it. I want to see thumbs up. Those of you from Patreon community who know that I reported the fact that Turkey was directly involved, because a lot of these ISIS people were Turkey rooted. And I said, mark this is extremely important. And my sources overseas are saying they are not breaking free from the prison or Sharia government releasing them. These people are actually with convoys, US military convoys. They are taken out of the prison in Syria into Iraq, north of Baghdad's prison. I'm going to pause here, and I want those of you who remember, and it's there. You have to go scroll down. But those of you who are who remember it, give thumbs up here. Send me thumbs up emojis, because this is not something I'm coming and saying. 5 weeks ago, I said all eyes on the Syria prison escape. It's not the story. These are removed by the U.S. military per CIA and Mossad plan into Iraq. Thank you. I see old Luce is here. He's one of my best friends. And yes, I reported on this. Well, people, according to my source, Turkey, Israel Mossad, CIA, they have them armed to the T in Iraq, already 5,000 men strong. Many of their generals and colonels, the ones who have that label, are Turkish. Turkish. These are the Turkish ISIS. They will be the first ones. I hope we have Iranian here among our listeners. I'm not talking about those who have been dancing and pulling down their panties and shaking, their what for school children being massacred in Iran. I hope we have Iranian among our listeners here. If we have anyone, please let me know, because welcome. And I know the right people in Iran are getting this information. Probably they have this information already. But that's going to be the first ground troops U.S. through Turkey, with Turkey and Israel, right? And their installation in Iraq that's going to try to send into Iran via the Iraq and Iran border. So Iranians, as they are putting decoys out there, talking about Kurds and everything, maybe they're going to try to divert the attention via Baluchistan, Sistan, because they have cells. CIA has cells there, okay? They have their terrorist cells there in Baluchistan, Sistan. But I'm telling you, the 5,000 plus men strong are coming your way. They're coming your way, Iran. And that prison, and you know exactly where that prison is right next to the U.S. military base that you already know has never been completely evacuated. Many of the military personnel were replaced by Mossad and the U.S. CIA people, and many, many people from Turkey. Okay? They are there, right? North of Baghdad. You know exactly where that base is. And the 5,000 plus strong ISIS are going to be sent into Iran via ground, And they are disposable, I guess. Well, they are terrorists, so I don't care that they are disposable. So when this 5,000 go in there, all armed to the teeth, and they have been trained even before this in terror operations, right? They may actually be first executing terror operations against Iranian Kurds, because Iranian Kurds didn't sell their country. They are more patriotic. Excuse me. And as Iran, in their plan, shocked, whoa, what the hell? 5,000 terrorists are entering, ISIS terrorists. And as they are busy with that, and probably 3,000 of these ISIS gonna be killed like this, well, these people are the ones who believe in suicide bombing and everything, right? So it's, I guess, it's what they have signed up for, okay? They have signed up for this. As they're entering and doing this stuff, as a second wave, they will have the troops going in from that area and elsewhere. But of course, Iranians, I know they are light years ahead of me. They already know, hopefully. The 5,000 ISIS terrorists, some of these people, hey, Americans, I'm talking to you, they used to be Al-Qaeda, okay? And our government here, the USA, says they did the 9/11, which they didn't, okay? It was the same people. This is Operation Gladio B. So don't get upset saying, any of you say, oh my God, Sibel is tipping off Iranians on this. This has nothing to do. These are your enemies. Yo, Americans, yo. These are your enemies. The terrorists, right? The Islamist terrorists that they keep telling you, in the name of Islamic terrorists, we are going to have the Patriot Act. In the name of Islamic terrorists, we are going to pat you down in the airports and stick our fingers up you know your what. In the name of terrorists, we're going to go and spend the second longest U.S. war in Afghanistan. In the name of these Islamist terrorists, so your government already has declared them as our enemies. I am exposing them, yo, Americans. Especially I'm talking about Trump-supporting Americans. So if you believe your government and Trump and everyone else in the government, that those are our enemies, the Islamist terrorists, ISIS, I'm exposing ISIS. I'm not exposing U.S. military here. I am exposing ISIS. Yo, Iran, 5,000 plus ISIS men, armed, all ready to come inside Iran as we speak very, very soon, if they are not already doing it. So your target in this particular case for this ISIS terrorists would be north of Baghdad, right? Next to U.S. military base and the prison that is being used as a housing, okay? It's being used as a housing. They go and train during the day with all the tactics. They are shown a strategy. They have their generals, colonels. They are ready to be the first wave of ground troop. And this was kept as Plan C, with Trump getting effed in the butt, right, with everything that is happening. Now Trump says, yeah, when it says ground troops, that's the first wave. And for rest of you, we may see a false flag operation in Iraq. They may need that to trigger and put the motion in place. But also, in another war strategy would be sending the 5,000 ISIS, these are Sunni ISIS, into Iran, and then coming back claiming and saying, for NATO, everybody, Turkey is dying to have like this overtly doing the genocidal practices of Israel. That's the Turkish government. They're going to say, that is threatening our existence and our survival and our national security. We need to go into Iran to clean ISIS. Because those borders, people, are intermingling borders. Let me read a few things for you here, okay? And I don't know if I can bring it up because they're all tied up, but I'm going to post a few links for you. Those of you who are interested in real news and real analysis, especially and perhaps mostly on these areas: Central Asia, Caucasus, Iran, Turkey, Iraq, Afghanistan. Those areas are my beat, okay? They have been my beat for, I'm almost 60 years old, people. They have been my beat for 35, 40 years, okay? Both at professional level, but also as a person who have lived there. And I'm not partisan. I have never supported any party, okay? I hated Biden. I hate Obama. I hate Epstein. I hate Trump, the pedophile, and all these people, anti-crisis, who are using the co-opted most of the U.S. churches and supporting this pedophile. I mean, anyhow, I don't want to get bogged down with that conversation. Instead, I'm going to look at the comment section here and see if I see any questions. But come to Patreon, okay? This is how it works over there, people. My stuff, people can tell you here, is open and free to all. I don't even have this thing that is closed for 2 weeks and only paid members see it. No, I don't have it. I haven't started it yet. I may, because I want to see how many people do it voluntarily. Okay. And I want to thank all the volunteers who have voluntarily subscribed to monthly payments. Some people are contributing $5, some people contributing $10. And that has enabled me to produce all these reports, analysis. Every Sunday we have live podcast, Operation Gladio B series. Come to Patreon. If you're able to, I hope you will subscribe with the payment. If you're not able to economically, everything is open and free to you. And when you come to my Patreon site, it's patreon.com/Sibel Edmonds. Scroll down and see all the articles. Every single one of them include links. And some of our Patreon community members, maybe in the comment section, will tell you why they have joined, why they have stayed, why they have become, some of them, my actually trusted good friends, right? And why you should be joining it. And with that, I know I've been going on for a long time. I don't. Ella, assistant, may I see the percentage left on our camera for the phone? Because this is being done through my iPhone. So I don't know how much battery I have left there. Oh, my goodness, that's good. All right. I guess the bottom ones would be the most recent one, Ella. Okay, I see Lucas's. Yes, Lucas, and it's so good to have you here. Lucas is in South America, and he is my friend. And Sylvia Smith, I'm glad you do, because sometimes I look crazy to me because I am, hey, I mean, I could never create a family tree because I'm a mutt, right? I have Turkish in me, I have Azerbaijani in me, I have Iranian in me, I have some Greek in me from my mother's side, and somewhere out there they're supposed to be Syrian, right? So Mediterranean, Middle Eastern, the hot-tempered Turkish, Greek parts, all of that goes into what you see here, right? And then also there is this gene pool because my father was an anti-war activist as a doctor, as a surgeon all his life. I'm talking about a radical anti-war activist. And he raised me, okay? I was raised mostly by my father. I didn't have a mother. But all of that translates into this thing that you see, right? The hands and the eyes and all what you call passion and everything. And I can't control it, okay? I really can. It just pours out. And there are times, especially if I'm giving an interview to some, maybe RT or something, I have to hold a pan and I keep squeezing it under my desk where I sit in front of the camera, because so that would prevent me from going all over the world. Because before you know, my microphone and these lights, they're all going to be shattering and they're going to just go all over the place because it's there. Now, those of you who watched me live 2 days ago on X, I had an X live and I never do live. Like, they blocked me from live, so I had to do a space. Via space is there, the recorded one. I'm not a boohoo person. I mean, I'm not a publicly boohoo person. But at the end, I guess you can, those of you who were there, I got really emotional. I cried, especially with these babies, children dying, and the kids in the hospital in Iran. And some of you here from my community Patreon who have direct access to me via DM or email, you were kind of worried because you know that I went through an intense trauma 5 years ago and I suffered PTSD, etc., if I was doing okay. By the time I got those emails, actually, I was doing so much better and positive because I've always said, okay, I've always said that it's going to get worse before it gets better, that things have been getting so bad for us, and at every level. Let's say, even within the United States, our immoral healthcare system, that is like misnomered healthcare system, right? It's all about corporation and money and the hospices and the fraudulent hospices, our education system, our not lacking real transportation system, our civil liberties, and then worldwide, globally, going through this insane period that has gone through this acceleration. I mean, especially since 9/11, because 9/11 was that what they needed, right? That's what Israel needed. They needed that 9/11 to start this domino towards the direction that they wanted the dominoes to fall. And they exactly got that. And with that, it's been getting crazy and crazy. But just in the past couple of years, 2, 3 years, it has gone beyond crazy and insane, signaling to us that the end is near. Not the end doesn't have to be negative, right? Like, I mean, this cannot go on longer. There will be this point of uprising and people saying enough is enough. And then, because you can't build on top of something that is rotten. We are rotten, okay? Our system, okay, is rotten at so many levels, right? The separation of powers hasn't existed for nearly half a century. The system of checks and balances, huh? What was that? When have we seen that? When have we come across that? Civil liberties, right? Standards of living, our economic thing that doesn't make sense, like what we see with Dow and the stocks, like it just doesn't even translate from what is really economical facts on the ground, right? Everything is inside out, everything is crazy, everything is upside down, and it just can't go on like this, right? But I've always said it's gonna escalate and get so much worse, intense worse, and that can be disastrous bad, right? Before we have a chance to make it better, and to make it better, we truly have to throw out the old system, because anybody who comes and says, I want to do band-aid approach, maybe fix this in Congress, maybe we elect this, that's gone. Okay? Okay? That time is gone. The system, other than the original system, which is Constitution, right? I'm talking about the US here right now. The US Constitution, right? If we take that, and our original frontier, independent-minded, critical thinking, right? Small government, etc. The rest of it needs to be burned down to the ground. Everything, whether it's Department of X, whether it's the Department of Y, and their heads, everyone in Congress, right? Many of them, like the course, we have to start from the scratch. The pedophile network have their people there. The Israeli Mossad genocidal, genetically mutated, satanic Zionist Jews, they have their cells, right? So it is so infected, right? It's like a cancer at stage 4 plus plus plus. You can't keep it, right? We can't keep it. I think we are getting close to that. That's for the US, but also globally. I've said it here before. We have 2+ billion Muslims in the world, right? And these recent stuff by the GCC, right, by the Kuwait and Dubai and UAEs, they are sending letters to Trump and saying enough is enough. We are going to cut trades with you. You set us up. People, that's self-preservation, because they know what's coming, just like Erdogan and Fidan and AKP knows what's coming for them, and it's coming very soon. They know. Their entire existence, right, was planted and protected and sustained by Israel and the US. Saudi Arabia, it's okay, it started by the British Empire, by the English, right? MI6. But then, especially since post World War II, it's been mainly US and Israel, right? Protecting the Saudi kingdom and the United Bahrain and Oman, all of that. These people were never elected. These are like degenerate kingdoms. Many of those people were Epstein's buddy buddy. Who do you think is giving Jared Kushner billions of dollars? Okay, so we all know that. So you're gonna say, well, how come the people didn't rebel before, right? For that, you need to be familiar with these GCC, Gulf nations, and Saudi Arabia governing system. You don't have to work there, okay? Government subsidizes regular peoples. I mean, you got all the oil, right? So they give you, I'm gonna give you, what they're predicting for the US. They're saying with the AI taking over the jobs in 15, 20 years, right? Supposedly, this is one scenario, one model they're presenting, that we are going to get paid to do nothing, basically. So, I mean, I don't know. We're going to get paid. We're going to go buy food, eat, and then these AIs and these companies, well, who's going to pay the company? Anyhow, what I'm saying is that's the model that they have. That is the model they have. So that's how they have kept their population, the people, pacified. Because they can sustain middle class life for older people, right? Free healthcare, free education, plus monthly payment for nothing, right? From all the oil money and all that. But all these years, there has been this built up, right? Among the Muslim population of these Gulf countries and Saudi Arabia, looking at the degenerate lifestyle of these kingdoms, right? The harems, harems for boys, harems for little girls, and then franchised harems in Morocco with the Epstein network, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem. He's only one of them. Trump, the pedophile, has been protecting a lot of them. That's how they get blackmail stuff. Same thing with Turkey. Not a single thing other than Tom Barrack and Ihlas Holding. They haven't put out any of the others. Turkey and Epstein network, starting with the Balkan Wars, right? Especially in late 1990s since 2003, a lot of shit is out there with the Epstein network, and that provides blackmailable material to Israel and the US. Another thing they did is the Hulk Bank scandal, right? In the US federal court in New York, against this Turkish bank and money laundering and a lot of shit, trillions of dollars of worth of a case. And this case has been going on for nearly 10 years. They keep postponing it because if this case is really tried, you're going to have half of the current government in Turkey going to jail because all the names are out there. The Reza Zarrab case. So what I'm trying to say is self-preservations for these Dubai, Emirati kings and princes sending this stuff to Trump because they see it coming. Tick tock, tick tock. Can you hear the tick tock? Can you hear it? Yeah, it's really ticking and talking, people. It's ticking and talking. The Muslim population, especially now, their countries like being poor, they cringed, right? But put up with their kingdoms, degenerate kingdoms, doing nothing about Israel's genocidal practices, right? Genocidal operations against the Palestinians. That's Palestinian lands. I don't recognize anymore. Israel. What? Is what? Okay, it's an occupied Palestinian genocidal people for all these years, and it's the breaking point. It's the breaking point. And they know, and with now US out and everything is happening, they are this close for that kind of a revolutions because something human, maybe together with something Muslim, inside these people, the real people who live there in Kuwait and Dubai, is saying enough is enough. Because they got to see the corpses of those little girls in Iran, right? 150 plus of them. They got to see how these hospitals were intentionally targeted, right? By the American military, US military, and Israel, and came down, they are just nothing but rubble. They are seeing what Israel and the US is doing to this Muslim nation, so it happens to be Shia, in Iran. They have seen what the United States has done together with Israel and their terrorists with the CIA, ISIS, right? ISIS is us, is US us. That's what I meant. You get it, right? So they know that that was done and what was done to democratically elected Assad, right? They've seen what happened to Saddam Hussein. Well, who's left? They see what happened to Afghanistan, what happened in Libya. They have seen how they have been hitting and murdering, genocidal murder of these people in Yemen. Yemen is one of the poorest nations in the world. They've seen enough. And now, with the protectors of their degenerate kingdoms and the monarchs, right, in the GCC, those protectors out, right? They're like, and some of the ones on the grounds, they are leaving. This is their moment. That's why they are sending this stuff to Trump, the kings and the queens and the prince and the khalifas and sheikhs and whatever they are. They are trying to maintain, like fake it, saying, okay, now we hate US, we hate Israel. Because their head's going to be chopped, because in Arab world, okay, I'm not saying it as a demeaning thing. I'm not saying it as a pejorative thing. And these people, they have been swallowing this shit for so long. It's built up, right? It's like a nuclear explosions from them. And there is no US military and intelligence and Israelis to protect them, because they have been protected for nearly a century, and before that by MI6 and the British military. And they have millions of people, and they're coming for them. So they are trying to pretend that they're switching side. Bad Americans. One of these billionaire, I don't know if it's probably Epstein's client, sending a letter, having it published in New York Times. People, would the New York Times publish a letter? If I were to give them, even if I had the money and I gave them $1 million to publish what I just put out here, front page of New York Times, do you think New York Times would publish? Hello, you have watched a movie, 3 Days of Condor, right? So they are sending these letters. They are doing all these, boo, you betrayed us. I can't believe you didn't protect us. That's bullshit. For years, they sat back in their palaces with their degenerate harems, and they watched Israel massacre babies and children, tens of thousands of people every year in Palestine. And then Lebanon. And now they woke up. Now that it's them. Boo-hoo, are you kidding me? So yeah, that's self-preservation. Just like President Erdogan and Fidan and AKP will be doing. Because people in Turkey, I would be shocked if the spine of the people nation has disappeared so much that they won't get rid of this, especially now that clock is tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. You hear it? It's ticking and talking. Don't wait. Get rid of them. And you know who you have on your side who really have the best interest of the country, and you, at least most of them, I'm not speaking for all of them, military people. I'm not talking about NATO's ass-kissing military people. I'm talking about the real Turkish generals and colonels and lieutenant colonels. Oh, they're there. They're there. They've been putting up with this. And if they could, trust me, right now, they would have a coup, and you would join them in a coup. Unfortunately, they need you first. Meaning, you got to go first. Believe me, they are coming with you. I am saying it here in public. Put it on the record. Please take it to the bank. They will be with you. Those good generals, those good military members, they would be with you. It's time for them to go. I don't mean send them to some nice villas because they have billions of dollars stacked. Not in Turkey. They're in England. They're in Malta. They're in the US. So don't send them up here. Don't send them off here. Have them sit in their villas and drive Rolls Royce and have like a security personnel. I mean, put them in jail permanently. That's what we should be doing now. Let's bring the focus back on us. We That's what we should be doing. I mean, there is already this talk that if in the midterm the other side wins, the other side has been as shitty as this one. When have we had peace globally? Since 9/11, really. Obama, Biden, it's been the same shit. But they are saying that if the other side wins, they're gonna start this impeachment inquiry for Trump's, genocidal acts, cost in lives, tens of thousands of lives innocent on the other side, probably many more coming, military, US military, but also in dollars. I mean, whose money is going into these operations? Our money is going so that our government commits genocides around the world, which it has been doing. I mean, let's forget about Vietnam right now, one of the main, that earlier ones. Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, Iraq, Yemen, lately Somalia and Nigeria, now Iran. With our money. So we can't have this cop out. Well, we are not doing it. It's unfortunately our government. Same thing that I said for Turkey and Turkish, I'm saying it for us. And that is impeachment inquiry. We need to round up all these people, including everyone in Congress. We're going to start from scratch, in my opinion. That's the only way. It's like cancer. If you just do one or two, even if you send them in jail or whatever, there are like thousands left, like larvae. Those are like the tumor cells. And then it's going to spread. I mean, after they put the Constitution, it took, yes, corruption, always part of every government. All that I understand, we're talking about the degree of it, right? The levels, we're talking about the levels. And with that, what I'm saying is, and that's exactly what Jefferson said. He said, even if you put the best system, you have to have a revolution now and then. Don't wait like 500 years. It's already been 200 years. And it's been half a century. But even if we take it from since 9/11, quarter century, where every day should have been the day saying that now and then, now is the time. Well, now is the time, because what more are we waiting for? We can't just say, oh, those Arabs should revolt, 2+ billion Muslims should get up and do something. Don't they see? How can they unite? Because the divide and conquer of the British Empire was a solid approach to create this. And then in the past half a century plus, it's been sustained by the CIA and Israel. Divide and conquer. What do we say? Balkanization. It's like chop, chop, chop. What do we have in Iraq? Northern Iraq is the Kurds. Even those Kurds are like several levels divided. Central Sunni, South Shia, 3 Iraqs. Weak. Nothing. Anybody can take them over. See, Iran doesn't have it. Yeah, they have their ethnic minorities, but no. They are the natural ethnic minorities created naturally. Sistan, Baluchistan, Tabriz, the Azerbaijan section of Iran, the Kurdistan region of Iran. Okay, and Syria, what do we have? We have the Shias, we have the Al-Qaeda, ISIS, CIA, Israeli Al-Sharia government, who everybody knows. He says, I used to be ISIS. All these wars happened, all these things we did militarily to install an Al-Qaeda, ISIS government there. I mean, how much are we going to stomach it, people? And that is Kurdish region, northern Syria, Al-Sharia, Al-Qaeda, ISIS region in the center, and then this area that actually Israel invaded. So that's the extension of Israel right there. What are they doing in Libya right now? Chop, chop, chop is on the chopping board nonstop. It hasn't been like finalized how big each section that is being chopped into is going to be. So, Iran has maintained its unity and hasn't let anyone get in there and really do it. And they lied to you about this. All these people inside Iran, they want to rise and they want to have a revolution and they need our support. And it's one of, so, okay, so it started with that this is going to be a liberation war, right? Humanitarian liberation war. Like Obama started that whole thing with Clinton. Okay, that didn't work. And then they came and they said they were going to attack Israel first, right? I mean, all these happening in like 5, 6 days, people. Then they said, that was Trump said, no, they were going to strike, all these targets with their nuclear stuff. This imminent. Now, I don't know what now they are saying. They're not saying anything because they are like out of things to say. It's just that we started this genocidal targeting, and our best hope is the terrorists again. It worked in Syria thanks to our creation, our creatures, ISIS. Now let's see if we can put Turkish ISIS together with the rest of the ISIS. They are already trained because we trained them, the CIA and Mossad, and 5,000 plus we are sending them. That was my breaking report. Okay, now we saw what they were like during COVID. They all are. It's like I would say I see zero difference in parties, and I don't think the next if we get to some next elections, I don't believe they're gonna have. Uh, the trap is not gonna be Democrat or Republican. Let's elect a Democrat to get rid of this one. This time they're going to introduce their own larva, evil larva, that is going to say, I'm running independent because those both parties are corrupt. See, because then people will fall for it because it has to be very close to the truth, and that's close to the truth. People want an independent party. They know both parties are shitty. They have their candidates set up, and that I have discussed it during my podcast on Patreon. I don't want to mix up the topics. I'm just looking to see. Hi, George Sukato is here. Good to see you, George. And I hope I'll see you more often at Patreon. I want to see if there are any questions. System of checks and negative balance of payments. Old Luce. Old Luce has the best sense of humor. He always makes me chuckle. That's so true. Yes, George, Renaissance came about after the Dark Ages. And that's one of the things we were discussing way back when a few months ago during our podcast, because our podcast, live podcast, is interactive. So we have the discussion. People ask questions, they make amazing comments. I'm really proud of our community at Patreon. Beginning is near. I agree with that as well. Oh, Luce, that's the best compliment anybody in this world can give me, to say that I have done my father proud. I hope so. I'm so sad about my brainwashed MAGA family. Any advice? Sylvia, you're not alone. Sylvia, so many people have left us too. That started during COVID because of this polarization and lack of the open-mindedness and critical thinking, which automatically puts these blinders on, right? You're either on my side or you're with the enemy, kind of a thing. We are all suffering what you're going through as well. At least I am. Other people here can jump in and add their voice. I tell you, during COVID, practically 75% of the people, acquaintances, friends, whatever, family members as well. But just in the past few couple of months since I've been doing this on Patreon, a friend of mine and this person is I like, and this person and the family, both of them are members of military, but very, very Trump supporting, and they got offended by me criticizing Epstein stuff with Trump and everything. So boom, boom, gone. They don't want to have anything to do with me and with us, with me and my daughter. She's part of it too, so she is bearing the brunt on this one as well. And I think Sylvia, it's like we are all inflicted with what you are. And then when you try to sit and have like discussion, immediately the claws come because everybody's already like tense and in this hyper mode to say that's a criticism of the guy I'm rooting for. Therefore, if they don't want, so nobody even listens to hears, okay, to hear. So it's like we are all putting up with that. Last October, while we were overseas, a friend of ours from the U.S. came and visited us. It just over a dinner conversation, not heated, nothing, just like talking about history, like who writes the history books, right? Okay, for example, this I remember what the topic was. The topic was Winston Churchill. Well, Winston Churchill, to big number of people, probably 99% of Brits and 92.5% of the Americans, especially the ones who haven't read multiple books uh, on history and Winston Churchill. They only limit themselves to what they learned in the schools, which is propaganda, as we all know. And it doesn't matter whose propaganda it is, the left, right, is the deep state's propaganda. But let's say if you have lived in Middle East, for example, or India, I told during the dinner, and I'm smiling because this was supposed to be a light conversation. We are dining and wining in this magnificent Greek island setting and all the mezzas. And I said, oh, in Iran, that was a joke between us. Like, yeah, I'm a kid. WC, like when you want to go to shit, crap, or pee. I didn't say shit and crap and pee during this dinner. I'm saying it now. Like when you go to pee and like, the loo, they called it, um, excuse me, I need to go to Winston Churchill. So basically, that every chance we get, we piss on Winston Churchill, and because of what it did to the Middle East, and just the deep state, and never ever seeing, and he's like, oh, that's preposterous. That's not Winston. How could you even think that? I said, well, because of all the he was a liberator. If it weren't for him, Hitler would have killed all Europe. He is the one who rescued all the Jews. Like they go back to anti-Semites and Jews, the Shalomi people. But then I just gave him an example. I said, because you went through the US or the UK education system and you read what they wrote for you to read, they didn't give you all the picture. First of all, I'm not saying everyone is like in one way. They're all, but he had a lot of bad stuff. I said, for example, did you know that he actually had an emergency meeting and put together a team to go and kill Gandhi, Indira Gandhi of India, and actually argued that the Great Britain should go to war and take out, chop him into pieces, don't even put him in jail. That's what Winston Churchill said. And let's not talk about Muslim. This was for Indira Gandhi. Now, everybody in the world worships Indira Gandhi. He's like, well, he did no such a thing. Even if he did all the great things he did with the World War II and Hitler and rescuing Jews and all the Europeans. By the way, he said during the ceremony, he's like, my uncle lost his leg or life or whatever going to World War II, and that is like, so you are telling me he lost that for nothing, And then he stood up, got up. We're all in a foreign country, right? Like we are not in the U.S. He's a friend we've known. Very nice, very good person. I really like this person. But I'm sitting there. I'm not going to take back the fact that you may be right. He may have done some, but these are things he did and nobody can dispute it, but they will never ever put it in the history books because that part has to be censored. He has to be presented as the hero, right? Well, he got up, dropped his napkin on the table, and walked away into the sunset. Well, the sun had already been set, but that's it. No longer talking with us. We, the anti-Winston Churchill people, and I didn't even say we are anti. I said, look, it all depends where you are and what was done to you as a country, right? In that part of the world, WC or Winston Churchill stands for WC. I'm not going to take it back. But what happens is it's the same thing. It's all the stuff they put. Who writes those history books? There is never. I mean, first of all, with everything we see around us right now, we should also like really reconsider anything we have been told about World War II and the concentration camps, the Hitler's stuff. No, I'm not saying, oh, she's a genocide. I'm not saying I'm a genocide. I'm saying I don't think I have everything information. Okay? I have seen personally in my lifetime direct information for now, I don't know, 25, 30 years of nothing but false flag. Like the stuff they are reporting on Iran, lie after lie after lie after lie, right? Well, right now we have internet. There is this thing called internet, right? So we can go and research, right? They're blocking that too, like they're shadow banning me all the time. We can connect with other people elsewhere in the world. We get to see some pictures right out of Gaza. I mean, before the internet and all the online stuff, we read everything, all our information on genocidal, genetically mutated, the satanic, despicable Zionist Jews of Israel, right? Everything we read, everything we saw was given to us by mainstream media. New York Times, Washington Post. It's just very recent since we have found out that these despicable satanic people have been engaged in the worst kind of genocidal stuff for half a century. Thanks to internet, people putting videos out there, some people speaking up, showing documents, right? Well, we didn't have internet. We didn't even have anything back then during the World War II, right? We had Colin Powell going in the United Nations and talking and saying we have all this evidence on all these weapons of mass destruction by Saddam, and that he's killing and gassing and doing this, and he's going to do that to us and to his neighbors and all that stuff. And it was proved absolutely bullock, right? It was absolutely 100% lie. And we found out, because of the leaks and whistleblowers, thanks to the whistleblowers, again, not the next day, or at least by mainstream media. It took them like 3, 4, 5 years to say, it was all lie. He didn't have the WMD. They found no WMD. He was not doing that. Okay, so it's been so long. Not many people are alive since that time. I cannot pretend to know the reality and the truth on World War II and what took place against these Jews back then. I don't know. I know these people, they're very good at making up shit and false flag, exaggerating. Let's say I'm just giving you an example to say, if somebody killed 10 people, they go and say 50,000 people were massacred. Because if that's going to serve their purpose, they would say it. What was the number? We don't know. I don't know. I don't claim to know. There are a bunch of hypotheses and theories, but one thing I know, I don't trust the history books that I was given to read on the subject, because I know what those same history books are saying on the things that I lived through, and I know firsthand. Let's say 9/11, right? Okay, well, it's a deduction, right? So anyhow, sorry, I kind of get, again, too passionate for these kinds of stuff. Nothing of condemning Bengalis. Exactly, old Luce. Yes, Sylvia, you're definitely not alone. And join us at Patreon. It's free. And you're going to... And we never have, in our community, we never have anybody coming insulting anybody. Kind of older generation, which I love, wiser generation. And the big question within Turkey is how many are aware, but mostly stuff. Yeah, well, Scott, Gary, well, the other thing we are doing, putting up with is somehow they mix their nationalistic feeling with like reality. Like even when you put the stuff in front of them, some, not all Turkish people, they are like, you go and criticize your or expose your own goddamn government. And he's like, this is for your own good. This is plus this is for global good. This is for the good of the humanity. And they kind of take it personally. Of all the nations in the world, like I have written on Iraq, I have written on Afghanistan, I have written on Central Asia, Sistan, Balochistan, Iran, you name it. The only country that has a lot of these sensitivity and a really, really dirty mouth, I know sometimes I have it too, but I'm talking about really dirty, unfortunately, has been my fellow um, Turkish friends and people in Turkey. Very, very rude and destructive in any kind of a social media settings and everything. Okay, Kevin is here. Fidan says he doesn't want to see regime change. Uh, they are busy right now, people. That's the calm before quiet. Iraq, all focus on Iraq. 5,000 people are going into Iran, and I really hope Iran level these people, okay? Because these people are the Al Qaeda terrorists, CIA's Al Qaeda terrorists. Today is Iran. Tomorrow, the same people will be targeting Americans. The next day, they will be targeting Chinese. So these people should be taken out, and their handlers as well. Locations, I already, before it happened, I said Turkey, Azerbaijan. Now I'm saying Iraq. And I don't know, since they did the decoy, this is the CIA, Mossad, on Kurds and threw that there, they may do a false flag, uh, possibly in the Kirkuk, Turkic area of Kurdish area of northern Iraq, right? And that also is going to be so close to the Turkish border, and then say, oh yeah, look, Turkey, Azerbaijan, next Iraq, that region is possibility. But where the CIA station is currently, and they are kosher as targets, it is north of Baghdad, right next to the prison Al Khalq. That's where they are. And people, Khamenei, the Ayatollah Khamenei that they killed, and he was in his house with his granddaughter, who was like a 3-year-old little girl, and the daughter and son-in-law. I was never a fan of any of the mullahs in Iran, but as a leader, I have to tell you, I mean, he was, in terms of not being corrupt, he was very admirable for his followers, for the people in Iran. I didn't agree with his policies. He lived in this house all throughout being the. Okay, Erdogan, the Zionim, lives in this palace that is like 5 times the size of White House, right? President of Turkey. And Turkey is the size of Texas. Okay? I'm telling you, he's the Khalifa of the Muslim world, if you ask him. Anyhow, so this guy, Khamenei, has always lived in the same house as the great leader of the nation. This house, if I were to put it in the US money, is like what we would consider lower middle class neighborhood, and the price of the house, with, if we were to do it, comparable to the United States, $250,000, basic, simple, no acreage, nothing. Furnitures that are all like, you would think it's like done there from flea market. And his diet consisted of this very simple yogurt. What I'm saying is, this guy, all throughout this being the leader, lived in this house without the fortress, without all these machine gun people, without the Arab kings and all those monarchies of GCC, UAE. They have to piss on a 24 karat gold bathrooms, like the toilets. You know, it is that degenerate with that lifestyle from all that oil. Well, Iran has oil, and if he wanted to, he could, but he lived in this simple life with a simple diet together with his family, and he had cancer, and late stage cancer, but they killed him cold blood, and his little baby granddaughter. I mean, they just It just should tell you what we are dealing with here, people. It should just tell you what we are dealing with here. And I'm talking about both Israel and the US deep state that is governing the US, and Trump is just the lower level puppet being handled. All of them, CIA, all of them are being handled. And they are not, just like Erdogan is not for the interest of Turkey and the Turkish people. Same thing is here. The deep state USA that is governing us is not doing anything for our interest or for our country's interest. Everybody should know. It's so obvious. It's so crystal clear. But that's how they did this. And then they wonder, when I was outside the country in Europe with my daughter last October, September, like in Spain and Greece, we went to some, small little independent hotels, and I witnessed several times the receptionist actually, when somebody would walk in and they would look at the passport, say, "You have Israeli passport," and I mean, they were so courageous in Spain, in Greece. It's like, you're not welcome here, you know? And that made me so proud of Spaniards and these people in Greece. Now Greece, the same as Turkey, Greece's government has been wow with Israel, especially the latest last November, December, the trilateral agreement, and they formed a trilateral partnership. It's the Cyprus and Greece and Israel. It's like, wow, that is truly wow. But see, that's the Greece government, the Greek government, but the people, restaurants, they were not, and they showed it. And this was in September. And same thing, I saw it in Spain, and the same thing we saw it in Prague. So what I'm trying to say is, they have nuclear, they have nuclear weapons, and they are the most dangerous country in the world. I mean, it's an illegally occupied country. They are the most dangerous because they have nuclear, and we know what kind of people they are. The world knows what kind of people they are, right? Anybody who doesn't know what kind of people, you can't name a single country that is doing what they are doing and has been doing it for nearly, over half a century. And they have the nuclear weapons. So you would think logically they should be our number one target if the US was what US was supposed to be. That the world needs to rid itself from this country because they are the most dangerous country people in the world. They are rabid, they are satanic. Epstein is only the tip of the iceberg. And arrogant on top of that, with nuclear capabilities. And I am hopeful, I'm still hopeful. I'm thinking we are at this stage where it gets so much worse, but then we're going to see the light coming, hopefully. Hopefully we'll come out on the side of light and everything will be changed, because the fact that everything is going to change and we are at the cusp of that time, it's, to me, it's 100%. It's happening, and it's just that it can go either way, right? It can start some sort of a World War III in the most destructive way, and then if nuclear weapons are involved, then yes, it's just like, it doesn't matter. We won't be around to see it, right? Or somehow we would see this global renaissance, as you just reminded me of again, a renaissance and awakening and uprising. And yes, we will go through a rough, tough time, hopefully without all the nuclear weapons being used, and we change everything. I mean, we have to throw out everything as we have now and start from scratch, other than the Constitution, at least for the US. For the other places, their people will determine if they want to have an Islamic government or Sharia government. That's people's choice. That's nobody's business, right? If some people want to have some Hindu government, whatever, that is their business. It's just, that is not for anyone to just say, no, we don't want that government, and people wanting that government. And we have ours, and that would be what it was intended to do. With that, it's a Sunday. I won't hold you up here for long. I've already have. What am I saying here? As I said, I rarely do YouTube, but I am always there on Patreon. Podcast, I respond to people, comment section, questions, and people can vouch for me here. I'm quick to respond. I publish, whether it's a breaking report or analysis or commentary, regularly there. Every Sunday is our lifetime discussion time. And I'm hoping as we have more supporters, like who can voluntarily support with monthly subscription, that I can expand and I can produce videos where I can show you documents because I don't have that technological capabilities. And no, I'm not about to go and learn it. I hate it. I really load it and I'm bad at it. I've always been bad at things like that. Technology and learning these manuals, you do this, copy paste this. That's not, I'm not good at that. I'm good at some things, but I'm not good at that. But as our resources increase, I would love to be able to have someone, physically nearby to be able to have really solid video reports where I can show you the sources and the documents or the excerpts of articles. So it's not like all coming out of my mouth here. You can actually visually see those things. Most importantly, I have a list of amazing people around the world, not only here in the US, to interview. Whether they are in Spain or Turkey or Iran or, whether they are from law enforcement in Tal background, whether they were government whistleblowers, analysts, some really fiery journalists. I don't have the capability, they're saying you do the Zoom, you record it. I don't know. So, but hopefully we will get to that point as well, all together. I love you all, and I hope all of us together can, and that will keep us both sane and more logical to maintain the optimism that some really good stuff may be coming, but we need to participate in it. Look, I won't be able to go back to Turkey for God knows how long until the people there change things. And I was there. I was there 2 years ago. I was there a year and a half ago, right? I can't. Okay, that's my country of origin. That's the price I'm willing to pay to do the right thing. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, financially not making more money is a choice I'm making because I rather be doing this. All the stuff, like we make choices in life, right? We all do. So I'm hoping that at least those of you here, those of you with me on Patreon, we make the right choices, be on the good, right, light side of things, and then have that optimistic, not Pollyanna, but realistically optimistic saying, let's lead this shit disaster to somewhere good. Let's really make lemonade out of these horrible, acidic, lemonic, I just made a word, lemonic, lemonic situation, and be on the side of the truth and goodness. Love you much, respect to you all, and please share this video, like this video, post it on Facebook, post it on X, put the word out so we would wake other people up, right? We get other people join us, and we also have it contagious, and they get to be in this status or state of mind that says, let's lead this towards that major change, but towards the better world, okay? Goodbye, everyone. Assistant.